devotees. Such association alone can by degrees release one from the quivering material elements. Om Agnana Timirandhasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshurmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Shri Chaitanya Manobhishtam Sapatam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kada Mahyam Dadati Swapadantikam Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Utaf Padakamalam Shri Gurun Vaishnavamsha Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Sahagana Raghunathan Vitam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadhutam Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padan Sahagan Lalita Shri Vishakan Vatamsha He Krishna Karuna Sindho Dinabandho Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namosate Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Rishabhanu Sate Devi Pranamami Hari Priye Vancha Kalpa Tarubhyasya Kripa Sindhubhyevacha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha. Now, Namo Om Vishnupadaya Krishna Prishthaya Bhutale Srimate Bhakti Vikasa Swaminati Namine Hari Janagana Badi Jnana Karmanda Hari Prakritita Para Bhaktir Bhakti Siddhanta Kantihi Vinaya Nikara Lakshmi Nimna Mede Ragamyo Bhuvijayati Vikaso Bhakti Purvo Yatindraha Namo Om Vishnupadaya Krishna Prishthaya Bhutale Srimate Bhakti Vedanta Swaminati Namine Namaste Saraswate Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Pashyati Deshatarine Vagishaya Shivadane Lakshmi Yasya Shivakshisi Yasyasya Hidaya Samvitam Nrsimham Aham Bhaje. Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shri Vasadi Gaur Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. This verse speaks about how only by the mercy of the Supreme Personality. Is it possible to move the camera over here so I could see the Prabhus, or is it like, it has to be there? Okay, awesome. You can put it right here. Okay, thank you. So we say this verse speaks about how by performing devotional service and getting the mercy of the devotees, we can understand our real self. A real self. That's why the Chaitanya Charitamrita says, Nitya Siddha Krishna Prema Sadhya Kabunai Shravanadi Shuddha Chitte Koro Yodoy. That to be the love of Godhead, Nitya Siddha Krishna Prema. This love of Godhead, and it's acquired, Shravanadi Shuddha Chitte Koro Yodoy. It's actually already present within the heart of the living entity. And it can be obtained. It can be obtained Shravanadi Shuddha Chitte. When one person hears properly from the bona fide representatives of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, one actually can develop a real understanding, or a real they can remember their love for Krishna. They can remember their Swarup. They can remember who they really are. Nitya Siddha Krishna Prema Sadhya Kabunai. You don't have to do anything else. You simply have to listen to the instructions of the pure devotee and apply that instructions in your life. It's very simple. That's why I guess I could do the screen thing here. So that's why in the Srimad Bhagavatam, there's a very famous verse. It says, Satam prasangan mama virya samvido bhavanti hrit karna rasayana kataha tajyoshanadyash apavarga vartmani shraddha ratir bhaktir anukramishiti. I'm just trying to pull up this verse. Okay. In the association of pure devotees, discussion of the pastimes and the activities of the Supreme Personality of Godhead is very pleasing and satisfying to the ear and the heart. By cultivating such knowledge, one gradually becomes advanced on the path of liberation, and thereafter he is freed and his attraction becomes fixed. Then real devotion and devotional service begin. So it's very important for a person to always have the association of the pure devotees of the Lord, because this Krishna Bhakti Janma Mula Haya Sadhu Sangha, that the whole reason of having Krishna Bhakti, the whole reason of having devotional service is the association of the sadhus. Without the association of the sadhus, then there is no question of having Krishna Bhakti. Krishna Bhakti Janma Mula Haya Sadhu Sangha. If Krishna Bhakti Janma Mula, the very root cause of the birth of devotional service within the heart of the living entity is Sadhu Sangha. So a person can never underestimate the value of the association of devotees. That's why Chaitanya Charitamrita says, Sadhu Sangha, Sarva Shastri Koi, Lavamata Sadhu Sangha, Sarva Siddhi Hoi. That even Ramanujacharya says, okay, anyway, let me translate this verse first, that all the scriptures, all they say is the most important thing is association of the devotees. And even a moment's association with the pure devotee is lava matra sadhu sangha, sarva siddhi hoy. Even a moment association with the pure devotee can actually give us sarva siddhi, can give us full perfection in this life. We can attain full perfection in this life just by the association of the pure devotees of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. That's why Prahlad Maharaj says, Naisham matistava durukramangrim sprishashanartha pagamo yadartaha mahi yasham raja padobhishekam nishkinchananam navrinita yavat. Let's see if I can pull this up. Oh, here. Okay, great. Unless human society accepts the dust of the lotus feet of the great Mahatmas, devotees who have nothing to do with material possessions, mankind cannot turn its attention to the lotus feet of Krishna. Those lotus feet vanquish all unwanted, miserable conditions of material life. So it is very important to always be attached to the lotus feet of a pure devotee. The lotus feet of a pure devotee of Krishna, they can help us understand how important it is to perform the aspect of devotional service, and their attachment to the lotus feet of a bona fide spiritual master removes all unwanted desires. Shri Guru Charane Rati Ese Uttama Gati Ye Prasade Pure Sarva Ash. That attachment to the lotus feet of a bona fide devotee, of a bona fide devotee of Krishna, attachment to the lotus feet, Shri Guru Charane Rati, Ese Uttama Gati. A person can attain the topmost destination simply by attachment to the lotus feet of a bona fide devotee of the Supreme Lord. Ese Uttama Gati, Ye Prasade Pure Sarva Ash. All of our desires, all of our hankerings will completely be fulfilled. That's why Narottam Das Thakur, he sings, Vaishnava Charanarenu Bhushana Karyatanu Yaha Haite Anubhava Haya Jaha Haite Anubhava Haya. This, let me see if I can pull this one up. Where Narottam Das Thakur, he says that the dust of the lotus feet of a Vaishnava. Let me see, I can find. It's actually the 5th verse of the Guru Vandana. You know, most devotees don't know this, but the prayer that we send Shri Guru Charana Padma, it's a song from Narottam Das Thakur's Prema Bhakti Chandrika, and in the Prema and after Ebe Jaj Gushuk Tribhuvana, and it's Jaya Prabhupada, that's there, and Prabhupada included the first 4 verses, but there's 5 more verses in the same bhajan, and they're all very ecstatic, and we can read some of them. See, I was quoting this. Vaishnava Charanarenu Bhushana Karyatanu Yaha Haite Anubhava Hoy Marjana Hai Bhajan Sadhu Sange Anukan Agnana Avidya Parajay. So we see, by making the dust of the Vaishnava's feet the ornament of my body, ecstatic love comes. Washing the Vaishnava's lotus feet is my method of worship. By always associating with the Vaishnavas, I shall overcome the darkness of ignorance. It's very amazing. There is the power of worshipping the lotus feet of the pure devotees. By worshipping the lotus feet of the pure devotees, causeless knowledge and detachment comes about. That's why the Bhagavatam also says, Prabhupada quotes this verse in this verse. He says, he quotes, Vasudeve Bhagavati Bhakti Yoga Prayojitaha Janatyat Yashivai Ragyam Jnanam Chayada Haitukam, which means that by performing devotional service unto the lotus feet unto Krishna, by performing devotional service unto Krishna, a person gets causeless knowledge and detachment. And Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu came to give us the same thing. Vairagya Vidya Naja Bhakti Yoga Shikshamrita Eka Purushav Purana Shri Krishna Chaitanya Shariradhari Kripambuder Yasam Aham Prapadye. We offer our respectful obeisances unto Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, who came to give us devotional service mixed with detachment. He came to give us Vairagya Vidya. He came to teach us the knowledge of detachment, Vairagya Vidya, Nija Bhakti Yoga, along with devotional service. So Bhakti is there, and we're all about Bhakti and Jai Haribol, but there should also be renunciation of material desires. There must be renunciation of bad association. Asat Sangatyage Vaishnavacha Sri Sangi Eka Sadhu Krishna Bhakta Ar. Right? So Asat Sangatyage Vaishnavacha. That the very behavior of a devotee is that he gives up bad association. And again, I guess I got to quote it. It's very appropriate to quote this one. Tato dussangam utsrijya satsuta jeta buddhiman santa eva sichindanti mano vyasangam uktibihi. That this, okay, we can read the exact translation. I guess I've been quoting this verse every class I've given here. It's an exciting. My defense is Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur would quote this almost every class too. An intelligent person should therefore reject all bad association and take up the association of saintly devotees whose words cut off the excessive attachment of the mind. Our minds have so many excessive attachments. So the words of the saintly Vaishnavas, they chop off all our excessive attachment. Mano vyasanga mukti bihi. This is the most important thing when we hear from the devotees. So Narottam Das Thakur is saying, what does this mean? No, we just, we find the bona fide devotee, we wash his lotus feet, drink his water, Hari Bol, I made it. No, but the symptom of drinking the water of the feet that's washed, the lotus feet of a pure Vaishnava, is that all our material, prema bhaktiya hote, avidya vinasha jate, that our material hankerings and desires are completely destroyed. Anya bilashita shunyam. All our other desires will be shunya. Jnana karma dhanavritam. This desire is mixed with jnana and karma. They are destroyed. Jnana karma dhanavritam. Anukul yena krishnanu shiranam bhaktiruttama. That we perform devotional service, pure devotional service, without a tinge of jnana or karma, in a favorable manner for the pleasure of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. This should be the result of associating with the pure devotees. This should be the result of drinking the water that's washed the lotus feet of a pure devotee. Vaishnava charana renu bhushana karyatanu. The dust of the Vaishnavas, the lotus feet of the Vaishnavas, should be the ornaments on the body of a devotee. A devotee doesn't usually, even you can see, I guess none of us have ornaments, right? We usually don't have ornaments, we just have a kanti mala, I guess, huh? But the real decoration is the dust of the lotus feet of the Vaishnavas. That's the real decoration. Echai Gosai Tar Mui Taragas, right? He says that, but Narottam Das Thakur says that the dust of the lotus feet of the 6 Goswamis are my 5 kinds of footsteps. Five, not 6. Yeah, 5 kinds of footsteps, Narottam Das Thakur says. So, one cannot underestimate the power of the association of devotees. That's why the Bhagavatam says, Shushrushosa tadhanasya vasudeva kataruchihi syan mahatsevaya vipra punyatirtha nishevanat. That a person must perform their duty of going and hearing Shushrushosa tadhanasya. That he must go and hear with faith from the devotees whose heart is completely freed of vice, and not just hear from them, but also perform devotional service. By serving those devotees who are completely freed from all vice, great service is done. By such service, one gains affinity for hearing the messages of Vasudeva. This is very important, that when we hear from the devotees and we serve them, that's why Tadvidi Pranipatena. Pranipat means you're offering your entire self unto the spiritual master. Pariprashnena Sevaya, you're making genuine inquiries on the spiritual Pariprashnena, and Sevaya, you perform devotional service unto the bona fide spiritual master. All these things have to be there. We have to do pranipat. We have to give everything we have to the spiritual master, our very mind, self, everything. We should give all of this to the spiritual master. Then we inquire submissively. Who am I? What is my duty? How am I supposed to go back home, back to Godhead? Why do I have so many material attachments? What do I need to do? Pranipatena, pariprashnena, sevaya, and then the spiritual master gives you instructions, and giving you these instructions, you follow them, and by following this instruction, a person's heart gets purified, and all their unwanted desires go away. It's a process. It's a process given to us by the great acharyas. And by following their process, that's following what Rupa Goswami and Sanatana Goswami gave us. That's why Narottam Das Thakur, he says, it's very amazing. And this, of course, there's a verse about book distribution here. Jaya Sanatana Rupa Prema Bhakti Rasa Kupa Jugala Ujvala Rasatanu Jahara Prasati Lokam Pasari Lo Sabshoka Prakata Kalapa Taru Janu. Oh, here. O Srila Sanatana Goswami and Rupa Goswami, who are 2 deep wells of the nectar of pure love, 2 personifications of the splendid nectar of the divine couple, and 2 desire trees by whose mercy the entire world is free from suffering. All glories to you. Okay, now comes the verse about book distribution, because the Acharyas gave us that association in their books, right? How, if you want to know Srila Prabhupada, read his, what did he say? What? That's right. If you want to know Prabhupada, read his books. So same thing. Prema bhakti riti yato nija grante suveketa likiya chendui mahashai yahara shravana hoite premananda bhase chite jugala madhura rasashrai. We see, in your books, you two great souls clearly describe prema bhakti. You are reservoirs of the sweet nectar of the divine couple. Hearing about you brings bliss to the heart. Their sweet mellows are my shelter. So we can understand that Narottam Das Thakur is saying, by hearing about the pure devotees, that's what he's saying. By hearing about the pure devotees, it brings us great bliss to the heart. That's why the Srimad Bhagavatam is so ecstatic. Because Bhagavatam, it's like Srimad Bhagavatam. It is the life of the devotees. That's what it is. The Srimad Bhagavatam is the life of the devotees. Basically, it starts off with these devotees talking to this devotee, and then this devotee speaks about, actually, I remember this devotee spoke to that devotee like this. And if you read the 7th canto, there's like 7 layers of like one story within a story within a story within a story. And it comes down to Hiranyakashipu. Hiranyakashipu tells a story about, converted Yamaraj, and then Yamaraj speaks about how a boy, goes and, it's like, whoa, but it's all about the stories of devotees. It's Leela Amrita, it's ecstatic. It's the Amrita of the activities of the devotees, Srimad Bhagavatam. So every page, prati shloke prati akshari nana artha khoy. That when we read the Srimad Bhagavatam, the devotees are so expert at relishing the nectar of the Srimad Bhagavatam. Vayam tuna viptrityama uttama shloka vikrame yetshanvatam rasagnanam swadu swadu pade pade. The devotees are very expert at coming together, vayam tuna viptrityama. And they try to find the end of their satisfaction, but they cannot find the end of their satisfaction. And what do? Uttama shloka vikrame. They glorify the Supreme Personality of Godhead with the topmost glorification. Uttama shloka. With the topmost glorification. Uttama shloka vikrame. Yatshanvatam rasagnanam. And they get the rasagnana and they churn the nectar. Yatshanvatam rasagnanam. Swadu swadu pade pade. And as they churn that nectar, the taste increases more and more and more and more and more and more. We don't need anything of this mundane material world. It's all completely useless. It's all completely useless when we hear the topics of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. That's why Nasa prayeshu abhadreshu nityam bhagavata sevaya bhagavati uttama shloke bhaktir bhavati naishtiki. That when we, by regular attendance in the class of the Srimad Bhagavatam, all that is unwanted in the heart is gradually destroyed to nil. And devotional service to the Supreme Personality of Godhead is established as an irrevocable fact. So this is very important. And when we hear from the sadhus, we hear from the bona fide devotees, then our material desires they aim at our material desires actually. When we speak the Srimad Bhagavatam, sometimes, we've experienced where devotees give classes, and the whole class specifically meant like for one guy and like to just go at him and to, illicit sex, let me show you all the verses about illicit, and just go at it, and just keep going and going. And I was like, oh wow, it actually worked. That's amazing. But this is the medicine. This is the medicine. Another famous verse, Nivritta Tarshar Upagiyamanas Bhavat Sadat Shotra Manobhiramat Ka Uttama Shloka Gunanuvadat Puman Virajeta Vinapashugnat. We see this over here. This is the perfect medicine for the disease of material existence. We can see 10.1.4. I think I quoted this recently too. Okay. Glorification of the Supreme Personality of Godhead is performed in the Parampara system. That is, it is conveyed from spiritual master to disciple. Such glorification is relished by those no longer interested in the false temporary glorification of the cosmic manifestation. Descriptions of the Lord are the right medicine for the conditioned soul, undergoing repeated birth and death. Therefore, who will cease hearing such glorification of the Lord except a butcher or one who is killing his own self? So we have to hear about the glories of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. KTTVG, right? Avadu? Keep the transcendental vibration going. We should always hear about the nectarian pastimes of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. We should hear about topics related to the Supreme Personality of Godhead. And by doing so, then, our material conception of life completely goes away. What the heck is going on? Why am I thinking that I am my body? Why am I thinking that I am my mind? I am none of these things. I need to perform yajna. When we hear from the bona fide spiritual master, we understand, I need to perform yajna. I need to perform austerity. I need to perform all these things. Why? Because Nayam deho deha bhajan niloke kashtan kaman arhate vidbhujamye tapo divyam putrakayena satvat yasmad brahma shokyam tonantam. Srila Rishabdev says Really amazing verse. It's like to start off a chapter with this. It's quite a. It start off with a bang. This chapter, this dear Lord Rishabh, they've told his sons. Okay, I'm going to hold the suspense here. My dear boys of all living entities who have accepted material bodies in this world, one who has been awarded this human form should not work hard day and night simply for sense gratification, which is available for the hogs and dogs that eat stool. Sorry, I went back. Okay. One should engage in penance and austerity to attain the divine position of devotional service. By such activity, one's heart is purified and one attains this position. And when one attains this position, he attains eternal blissful life, which is transcendental to material happiness and which continues forever. Our material sense gratification is temporary. The money in your bank is temporary. Your beautiful family is temporary. Your house is temporary. Your cars are temporary. Your nation is temporary. All these things are temporary. They're completely useless. The only real thing is the devotional service to Krishna. Tapo divyam, perform divine austerity. This is what is needed to perform divine austerity. One must break through the cycle of repeated birth and death in this life. Prabhupada is saying this, in this life itself, in this purport, Prabhupada says, in this life, one can actually become free. But one can actually become free and go back home, back to Godhead in this life. But one has to associate with pure devotees. One has to associate with pure devotees. And if the pure devotees are not there, we associate with them in the form of their instructions. And this association can be more constant than association with the vapu of the pure devotee. It's a very important point. That we can associate with the spiritual master 24 hours a day by meditating upon his instructions. That is why there is no higher mantra than the lotus feet of the Guru. There is no higher mantra. You know why? Because when a person meditating upon the lotus feet of the spiritual master means that a person meditates upon the instructions of the spiritual master. A person must meditate. And no matter how hard it is, by meditating constantly on the lotus feet of the spiritual master and his instructions, all the unwanted things will go away and Krishna will give us intelligence and inspiration to perform our devotional service. For example, the spiritual master's desire is that, one becomes a pure devotee. And I wonder, oh my God, how is that possible? I'm thinking, especially for me, this kind of seems, I was thinking it's probably easier to distribute 10,000 books in a day or do something like that. But to become a pure devotee, give up material desires, whoa, how is this going to happen? How is this going to happen? I was thinking about this. And, I guess most devotees have this experience. You're constantly thinking about it and you're praying to Srila Prabhupada for an answer or something like that. And you read Prabhupada's books and then boom, the answer is right there in the purport. Anyone else had this experience before? Yeah, almost everyone. I hope everyone's reading Prabhupada's books. Okay, good. So when we read Prabhupada, and then I just read this purport a couple of days ago, and there, this is after Vamana chastises Bali, and it says, okay, you know what? You go to Sutala, and in Sutala, you can be with your family, and I'll personally be there, and don't worry, you won't get bewildered by other associations because I'll keep increasing my prowess and all this. And Prabhupada writes in the purport that Vamana could understand what Bali Maharaj is thinking. He's thinking that, oh my God, again I have to be with all my demoniac associates. I'm sure they're pretty fried out with me that I gave. I'm sure the demons would have been fried out that he gave everything they worked so hard for. Yeah, Lord Vishnu, take it. That would have been pretty frustrating for one who is a demon, right? But in the purport, Prabhupada writes that Vamana understanding the mentality, understanding what's on Bali Maharaj's mind, where Bali Maharaj was thinking that if I'm going to be with the demons again, then I'm going to have my demoniac mentality. What am I going to do? But then, Prabhupada writes so that Vamana assured him that that won't happen because you're associating with me. And then in the purport, Prabhupada says this really amazing thing where he says that the demoniac mentality of a person can be destroyed by the association of devotees. I'm like, thank God. That was my answer. I was really thinking because when I examined myself, and I examined my mind, I was saying, wow, I'm 100% demon, 100%. I got demoniac blood flowing through my veins, I got your demoniac mind, and I'm saying whoa, what? But then the association of devotees, that's the most important thing. When we come in the association of devotees, then all this unwanted thing is actually eradicated, because the devotees will tell us what we need to hear, not what we like to hear. And that's the toughest part. That's the toughest part of the job, I guess, Why are you being mental? Oh, duh. Like, like, I mean, when the devotees, get on our case, that's like the greatest act of kindness, actually. When the devotees get on our case and, like, tell us what we need to hear, that's the greatest act of kindness. Because no one else will do it. No one else will do it. That's why, see, this rascal Ravana, Hanuman comes and, like, just destroys Lanka by himself. He kills, like, more than 100,000 Rakshasa of his finest Rakshasa warriors. He breaks his Ashoka Grove, tears down the walls, set Lanka on fire, does all these things. And then Ravana, like, he calls in a meeting with the ministers. And by any chance, is there a Ramayana on that table over there? By any chance? Do we know? Who's been here? Dittagirish, you would know. Is it possible for a devotee to go look, please? I'm sorry, I definitely didn't plan it. But we can say that Ravana, okay, I guess we were just not ready for this attack, but now this monkey came and kind of like ruined the whole of Lanka, burnt it to ground, killed so many Rakshasas. He killed, Hanuman kills Aksha, who's no Ramayana? Okay, don't worry, I'll just paraphrase. So, Hanuman kills even Aksha, who is Ravana's like pet. He really loved this young boy, Aksha. And he performed, great austerities and got boons from Lord Shiva. And Hanuman, really does his thing. Like that's, when Ramayana is so action-packed and like, especially when in Sundara Kanda, when it first starts, I'm like, okay, I'm ready to go. Let's hit it, It's so action-packed. And then Hanuman alone does such amazing. And then Ravana says, well, I've invited all of you here because a wise man, he takes good counsel. And good counsel should be taken, there's three kinds of counsel. What are the three kinds of counsel? One kind of counsel is when a person and the ministers, they look at the situation objectively, and they analyze everything properly, and with a cool head, they come to a conclusion based on religious principles. Second kind of advice is, or second kind of counsel, is when one has like a heated argument and just comes to a conclusion, just not caring about anything. But then like the third kind is that when a person doesn't listen to anyone, does whatever he likes, which are completely against religious principles. And he says, therefore, my dear ministers, I have called all of you here to decide what the right thing to do is. But the elephant in the room is that, who did you ask before you kidnapped Sita? Who did you ask? You didn't ask anyone. You just went and did your thing. And then like Kumbhakarna was also really fried out with Ravana. And he told him, even Kumbhakarna, like, my Guru Maharaj says, he's a nice guy, yeah? Relatively speaking. He was a nice demon, I guess however nice Rakshasas can be. But Kumbhakarna, who did you ask before you did it? But anyway, don't worry. I will kill, Rama and Lakshmana. And then like, and then all the Danava, all the Rakshasas are like, don't worry. I'm so great, I'm the dude, and they show like their swords and their clubs with like the stains of blood, and like, yeah, I will kill them by yourself. Who cares about monkeys? I will kill Rama and Lakshmana. Ravana, you go and enjoy with your consort. Don't even worry about it. I'm here, big boss. Like, that was like their whole mood, And then everyone is like, getting all fired up, and then Vibhishana is over there. He says like, okay, look, Rama is Vishnu. He's invincible, he has inconceivable potencies, he's unlimited. And you saw that Rama destroyed 14,000 Rakshasas by himself in a forest. And in front of one messenger to see the death of 14,000. This was Kara and Dushkara. These people were Ravana's, like, Ravana basically says, I thought these guys are invincible. What the heck? This guy, so Vibhishana says, look, he's already proven his point here. My dear brother, he's already proven his point that, look, he alone destroyed 14,000. So please don't think, you see, you got a benediction, you got protection from the Gandharvas, the Danavas, the Devas, the Daityas, the Asuras, the Kimpur, everyone, you got, not Kimpurushas, but he got a boon of protection from all of them, but you didn't get a boon of protection from the human being. So now here is Rama. I'm just telling you what it is. And he says, like, a flatterer is easy to come across. A person can very nicely come and tell you, Prabhuji is so nice, so nice. You're not only following 2 regs. At least you're following 2 regs. Prabhuji is so nice. So someone can tell you like that. But that guy is a complete rascal. It's a complete nonsense. Like, what's the matter with you? Right? And then devotee can say like, oh, Prabhuji, you're watching TV? Okay, Prabhuji. What are you watching? Okay, at least just make sure that you're not watching at least the half-naked girls. You're watching sports, that's fine. But, there's complete nonsense. It's okay to eat karmi grains every now and then, Prabhuji. Karmi grains popped up in this class too. Sorry about that. But, it's okay to do this. It's okay to do that. It's okay. It's not okay. What does Prabhupada say? What does Prabhupada say? So that is a devotee. That's a real, genuine well-wisher who's going to tell us what we need to hear, not what we like to hear. So Vibhishana gives Ravana this counsel, tells him, hey, look, don't do it. And 4 or 5 days in a row, he says the same thing. And then, again, everyone is like boasting, no, I'm so great. And then, one warrior who's, anyway, in my like humble and contaminated opinion, who's like, I guess like the coolest villain in the whole of Ramayana, it's Indrajit. He's like the cool guy, who could, do all this, say, wow, like, all this, like, crazy stuff, And Indrajit, he like, again, Vibhishana is like, look, why do you have Sita here? Ever since Sita came, we find that the sacrificial offerings are full of ants. That the snakes are constantly found in the kitchen palace. The fox ominously, like, foxes howl, right? They howl, right? It's like a dog. So dogs howl, wolves howl. So fox also must howl, right? Right? Anyway, they howl ominously in the morning and evening. There's all these bad signs. So it seems like the destruction of the Rakshasa race is imminent. Return Sita to Rama and give him a lot of gifts and make friendship with him, and all the Rakshasas can live properly. And it's so many people, like I was telling, Vibhishana was telling this to Ravana. And then Indrajit gets really fried out. He says, "You fool! You're a eunuch. You're a coward. Your advice lacks it lacks any good counsel and lacks heroism and courage. There's no place for like wusses like you. In this great assembly of warriors." And even Ravana is like, "Yes, Vibhishana. If it was anyone else, I would kill you." And he said, and Vibhishana is like, "You know what? I'm done." He did everything he could. He gave him all the counsel he could. If he's not going to listen, he just split and he went up to Lord Rama. There was like this whole discussion amongst them. What should we do? Should we accept him, not accept him? And Rama is like, okay, you know what? I'll accept him. And then he says, he gives this verse, a beautiful verse. Sri Vaishnava is quoted all the time. Sakriteva prapannoya savasmiti chayachate abhayam sarvada tasmai dadam yetad vratam mama. It's also there in the Chaitanya Charitamrita, actually, this verse. How does Prabhupada exactly translate it? Must be really ecstatic. Oops, 87 results. Okay. Sakrideva prapannoya savasmiti chayachate abhayam sarvada tasmai tadam yetad vratam mama. It is my vow that if one, even once, sincerely surrenders unto me, saying, "My dear Lord, from this day I am yours," and prays to me for courage, I shall immediately award courage to that person, and he will remain safe from that time on. So even once, with all sincerity, if we offer our obeisances unto the Supreme Personality of Godhead and tell, "My dear Lord, from this day on I am yours, I fully surrender to you," he gives you full protection. Abhayam sarvada tasmai dadam yetad vratam mama. It's his eternal vow that he'll do this. So Rama says this. And Vibhishana, he didn't think, what about my family? What about this? What about that? And not just Vibhishana, all his ministers who were with him, they all rose with Vibhishana and they all left their home. And they all went and surrendered at the lotus feet of the Supreme Personality of Godhead and said, "I will perform devotional service unto you unconditionally. Unconditionally, I'll perform devotional service unto you." So this is very, very important. It's very important that a person must surrender unto the lotus feet of Krishna. And when one comes in the association of purity with us, Ramanujacharya says that even if a person is a completely useless person and he can't do anything at all, then at least what he should do is he should just at least go and sit in the assembly of Vaishnavas. Just at least go and sit in the assembly of Vaishnavas. Just go sit in their assembly. Because somehow or the other, the Vaishnavas will engage us in devotional service. They will engage in somehow or the other, something will happen. You were telling me like, hi Kishi, the guy who was like completely retarded and, completely like perma-fried, his mind was on drugs or something and all, but somehow Dhanavir Das Goswami Maharaj engaged this person in devotional service. And sometimes if they stick with it, like the conditioning goes away after some time. The conditioning seems so hard, but it is possible for it to go away. It's possible for it to go away. That's the power of pure devotional service. That when a person is engaged in the association of pure devotees and performs pure devotional service, then there is every chance of that person becoming completely transformed. Completely transformed. And we can think about it, we had so many gross desires before we came to devotional service. Desires breaking the four regulative principles. Definitely I had them for sure. And I'm sure others may have also had them. But then when we started associating with the devotees and started taking Srila Prabhupada's instructions seriously, those desires, the desire to even, like for example, those who are meat eaters, we may have really liked eating meat before, but that same meat which would give us so much pleasure now makes our stomach churn, right? Even the smell of it, like, how are people eating this? This is horrible. How is that possible? That's the association of pure devotees. Actually, according to our guna and karma, it's almost impossible to give these things up. According to guna and karma, most likely, like most people, you're coming from a generation of meat eaters, but it's very hard to give it up. It's hard to give it up. But Shuddhanti Tasmai Prabha Vishnave Namaha. There's a verse, Kirata Hunandra Pulinda Pulkasha, Abhira Shumba Yavana Kasadayaha, Yenecha Papa Yadapa Shraya Shuddhanti Tasmai Prabha Vishnave Namaha. That people from all over the world, all different races, all of them will be purified by Shuddhanti Tasmai Prabha Vishnave Namaha. They'll be purified by chanting the holy names of Lord Vishnu. And there's a verse predicting Srila Prabhupada. Because Prabhupada is a person who went and made everyone chant the holy names of Krishna and got all these people from the most unlikely backgrounds to surrender to Krishna and become pure devotees of Krishna. Srila Prabhupada is that person. Who else can do such a thing? Srila Prabhupada can do such a thing. So it's very amazing, and I can read a small section from this really amazing book. I strongly recommend all devotees read it. It's called Jai Srila Prabhupada by His Holiness Bhakti Vikas Swami Maharaj. So in this over here, Maharaj writes, okay. In Srimad Bhagavatam, is it legible or should I increase the font size? Good? Or more? A little more? Okay. Okay, I'm kind of maxing out here. Is that good? Okay. In Srimad Bhagavatam 1.5.11, Vyasadeva states that the Bhagavatam is meant to bring about a revolution in the impious life of a misdirected civilization. This statement clearly refers to the preaching mission heralded by Srila A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada, whose purpose on the Bhagavatam, composed 5,000 years after Srila Vyasadeva's compilation of the Bhagavatam, have become the most important contribution for the revolutionary re-spiritualization of the entire human society, which was lost in the darkness of materialism. Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu also predicted that his holy name would be broadcast in every town and village. Acharyas of his Sampradaya predicted that the spread of Krishna consciousness would usher in a 10,000-year golden age within the dark age of Kali. And Chaitanya Mangal, Lochandas Thakur foretold that the great Senapati, military general, would appear to widely and powerfully preach Lord Chaitanya's message. That confidential task of spreading Krishna consciousness all over the world was entrusted to His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada. Sri Chaitanya Charitamrita confirms that unless one is specifically empowered by Krishna, he cannot infuse Krishna consciousness into the heart of the masses. Krishna Shakti, Kali Kale Dharma Krishna Nam Sankirtan, Krishna Shakti Vina Nahi Tar Pravartan. It's a very amazing verse. Bhakti Vinod Thakur, a great Vaishnava Acharya who appeared in the 19th century, predicted that very soon a great personality would appear to spread Krishna consciousness all over the world. That person is clearly His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada. Bhakti Vinod Thakur also said that the greatness of a Vaishnava can be understood by seeing how many non-devotees he converts to Vaishnavism. To bring even a highly qualified person to Krishna consciousness is difficult, but Srila Prabhupada was so empowered by Krishna that he went amongst the most unlikely candidates, the hedonistic youth of the Western countries, and made devotees by the thousands. No one can fully understand the extraordinary task Srila Prabhupada performed. He went alone amongst persons with no standard of Vedic culture. Persons brought up in a society which vigorously promotes meat eating, illicit sex, gambling, and intoxication. They had no idea how to receive a sadhu and were almost completely disqualified as candidates for spiritual life. Srila Prabhupada not only entered among such people, but gradually managed to train many of them to the extent that now they are accepted everywhere as first-class Vaishnavas and preachers qualified to impart Krishna consciousness to others. In India's recent history, there were certainly many Vaishnavas who were devoted, learned, and renounced. However, the fact remains that only Srila Prabhupada was sufficiently qualified to spread Krishna consciousness all over the world. Only he had sufficient faith in the instructions of Lord Chaitanya, the order of his spiritual master, and the holy name of Krishna to seriously attempt spreading Krishna consciousness outside of India. Only he had enough compassion and vision to spread the message of Lord Chaitanya to those who needed it. Only one of the topmost confidential devotees of Krishna could perform such extraordinary tasks. By his unparalleled achievements, it is clear that Srila Prabhupada occupies a unique position in the history of Vaishnavism. So this is our Srila Prabhupada. So if we simply take shelter of his lotus feet and take shelter of his books and we distribute them and make farm communities where we establish everything Srila Prabhupada wants us to establish, we will certainly attain the topmost level of devotional service. So I'll end the class here. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. If there's any questions or comments or protests or corrections, we could take them now. Yes.
Prabhu, I just have a question in regards to the purport from today.
Uh-huh.
It's in the first paragraph. I said, well, I guess the whole purport is just one paragraph, but Prabhupada writes that the development of knowledge for the purpose of knowing everything without rendering devotional service is considered fruitless labor, and one cannot get the desired result by such labor of love. So why is Prabhupada saying that
Because
fruitless labor is a labor of love?
Because the Gyanis, they want to acquire all this knowledge, and they perform so much service, and it's like a labor, and we can understand that they think that they love themselves or something like that, and they're doing this. They don't understand what the ultimate Swartha Gati is. Nate Vedu Swartha Gatim Hi Vishnu. Because ultimately, even if a person is really selfish, but if they're really selfish and really intelligent, then they'll understand that the most selfish thing to do is to selflessly serve the Supreme Lord. Does that make sense? The most selfish thing to do is to selflessly serve the Supreme Lord. Because by doing so, the self gets the highest benefit. So they are thinking of Swartha Gati, this is my ultimate Swartha Gati, but they Nati Vidu Swartha Gatim Hi Vishnu. They don't realize that their ultimate Swartha Gati is service to Vishnu. But it's a labor of love, because the Swartha Gati, I'm doing this because I love myself, I want to do it. But it's a useless waste of time.
What you're saying is there's no love in the material world?
I guess there's no love in the material world. That's true. I don't remember. Somebody keeps saying that all the time. There's no love in this material world. Love is for Krishna and his devotees. Prabhupada said it. I didn't say it. Anything else? Yes, Rushuk. Ramji Prabhu, do you have anything? Okay. Yes.
You were mentioning that there's no higher mantra than the lotus feet of the Guru.
Yes.
And that we should meditate on the instructions of the spiritual master 24 hours a day. I was wondering, it can be kind of confusing because the spiritual master has so many instructions. So it's like, how do we know which ones to meditate on, in what order, and when, and like that?
You can ask him. That makes sense. that's an easy one. You can ask him. And there's of course always like general instructions the spiritual master gave us, like attending Mangalarti, chanting 16 rounds attentively, being enthusiastic about performing devotional service, reading Prabhupada's books. These are all the things which everyone has to do. And then depending upon your varna and your ashram and your conditioning and your situation, spiritual master gives you a customized medicine for the customized suffering that Maya has given us. Because Maya gives us customized suffering. Like suffering just meant just for you, like quinoa only, brother. Like, like whatever kind of suffering that you could have. Maya gives you customized suffering, So then for a customized disease, you need a customized medicine. So for that customized disease of attachment to matter, the spiritual master gives us a customized medicine. But the capsule is made of 16 rounds, 4 regulative principles, attending Mangalarati and being enthusiastic about devotional service. And then like within the capsule may be like a little different things for different people.
That makes sense.
Is that okay? Awesome. Yes, Amoga Leela Prabhu.
I'll just read. This is a small. It mentioned that quote is mentioned in that excerpt of Jai Srila Prabhupada about Bhaktivinoda Thakur predicting a great personality.
Are you going to drop some
Yeah.
SP? Let's hear it. Big
So
Boss.
this is from. Anyway, this just is a paragraph from Mood and Mission.
Hey, you're the editor, not me.
Okay, so this quote, Bhaktivinoda Thakur predicted soon a great saint will come and establish Lord Chaitanya's movement throughout the world. That great personality empowered to create devotees of all races and backgrounds and to rally them together in Mayapur. Thousands of miles from their homes was Srila Prabhupada. And this is Guru Maharaj writing. Bhakti Vikas Swami writing. This is based on a statement, quote-unquote, statement by Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur that putatively predicts Srila Prabhupada. A personality will soon appear to preach the teachings of Lord Chaitanya and move unrestrictedly over the whole world with his message. This first appeared in a 1974 Back to Godhead and has become enshrined in ISKCON lore. It is referenced as being from a 19th century Sajjana Toshani article, yet perusal of all extant Sajjana Toshani articles, magazines, has not revealed anything to that effect, although there are some general statements regarding worldwide preaching. So it seems it's apocrypha.
Okay. It's written in this.
Yeah,
Srila
so
Prabhupada.
that probably has to be changed also.
Anything else? Yes.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
You were reading this pastime from Ramayana about Ravana and Vibhishana, where even though Vibhishana was giving him the logical and best advice due to his association and also seemingly his demoniac mentality, he was unable to take to the good advice that was given to him. So even though, like you were saying, it's the duty of a devotee to give one, like the proper advice, but we often see that even people that we give the best advice to, they don't heed that advice and they don't take it up. So how do we simultaneously give someone, the advice that they need to hear, which might not necessarily be what they want to hear, but also see that they follow through and actually execute those instructions that we're trying to give them?
For a full answer, please read On Speaking Strongly, Srila Prabhupada Service. This is, how do we make sure? How do we make sure? Well, it requires some intelligence. Every person is different. At Brigupati Prabhu, I was with him. You were there. I sent you that. Do you hear it?
I didn't get to listen to it yet.
Okay. So, anyway, Brigupati Prabhu, I was just with him in Los Angeles, and he was telling me about, I'm going to send you this. You have to hear it. You have to hear it. I said, it's 2 hours long, but I want you to hear it. I said, no problem, Prabhu, send it to me. And he keeps sending me all these quotes and this thing of Srila Prabhupada. And it's a 2-hour recording of Srila Prabhupada talking to Hayagriva Prabhu about a play about Lord Chaitanya. It's so ecstatic. It's a recording from 1967. I heard the whole thing through. And Srila Prabhupada is just speaking about Gaur Leela from before the appearance of Lord Chaitanya to the disappearance of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. And Srila Prabhupada is going on. And you can see how the disciples, it seemed like back then they didn't have much of an understanding of etiquette. You can see the way it was completely nonchalant and just yes, Swamiji, okay, Swamiji. It was it was very casual. It was not like disciple and guru relationship. But, Prabhupada, as Brigupati Prabhu was sharing this with me, he said, Prabhupada, he was like a chameleon in a good way. where he knew exactly how to be with the person to give them Krishna consciousness. And we can see, like, sometimes when we're out on book distribution, if a person seems to be like, into something, we're like, dude, I freaking love that, bro. Like, especially in comic, I'm like, bro, I freaking love that character, bro. I love that character. I don't even know who the hell that character is. I was never into I freaking that sword. Is that the one from that guy? Give me some. And like, whatever. Like, wow, fired up. Take the book. Like, whatever. And like, sometimes in the spiritual conventions, like, you meet like, what I'm saying, like the. How do we describe them? Insane would be an understatement. But anyway, should I play that video? No. I don't know. No, okay, I guess somebody will be like, whoa, there might be too much. Or we have. Okay, anyway. So yeah, but like you see, like sometimes when people come and they're like, oh, I feel the energy, and you should also feel like, oh my God, yeah, me too, me. Like whatever it takes, right? You're like, oh wow, oh my, it's right there, it's going, and then like you somehow convince them to buy the books, right? So we just have to understand the person and understand the scenario and just depend on Krishna. Ultimately, it depends on the mercy of Krishna upon that person and how willing they are to take to the process of devotion service. But sometimes you see some people are stubborn for no reason, stubborn like an ass. There's a really, what's the Sattvic way of putting this? Okay, a really heavy lecture is going to drop on the BVKS Media app pretty soon. I mean, I've been listening to all the live lectures from ISKCON Salem, and oh my God, right? I sent him this lecture. I sent Vishnu and Chandanacharya Prabhu also, Vishnu Prabhu, Chitta Prabhu and Chandanacharya Prabhu this lecture also. That lecture was, it's so heavy. I felt like it was just for me, But anyway, Bhakti Vikas speaking was stubborn like an ass, And it was just the heaviest, like, whoa. I honestly think that was like the heaviest lecture of his that I heard. So hear that lecture after eating, because you will not want to eat after hearing that lecture. So, so it depends. It requires some intelligence. We have to feel a person out, and preach accordingly, preach to them accordingly. It's not, it's not like if you are if you have to preach heavily, doesn't mean like we're like Bible bashers. Like, you are going to hell. 5th canto, 28th chapter says, what did you do today? Okay, this is the hell you're going to. It's not like that, But we just have to just give them the instruction according to the time, the place that they're in. But doesn't mean that we should compromise our own principle and start preaching preaching nonsense within devotee society. Is that okay? Anything else? Anything from the Matajis? Yes, Tirga Mataji.
I guess it's just interesting because sometimes you could be, preaching and trying to convince a person by preaching like what's Prabhupada has given us, but then it just the opposite effect. It makes them not want to practice, because they feel like it's just too much, or, so like, I guess it's more of a comment. It's just kind of interesting how that goes,
Yeah, I mean, we can speak for all of us, and at least like, 4 of you. The best preaching for y'all was a prasadam, right? Right? When we came and the devotees took prasadam, that really convinced most people. Right? Convinced I was not. I to be honest, I was pretty convinced even with the saltless khichdi. It was pretty convincing. That's like the most. That's like the most practical realization of the absolute truth. When really, Then when it really is, when you have Krishna Prasadam, it's just like, wow. Where we are, people are mostly on the Annamoy platform, right? Most people are on the Annamoy platform. They're on the platform of eating, just on the platform, what is good for me, like right now, like animals. But then when they eat Krishna Prasadam, they become completely satisfied. I was reading yesterday, actually I was just reading it last night, I think, where it says that Lord Vishnu, Prabhupada was quoting, which verse is this? Okay, it's almost here. Okay. In the Vedic system, prasad is distributed as recommended here without discrimination as to who may take the prasad, regardless of whether one be a brahmana, shudra, vaishya, kshatriya, or even the lowest of men, a chandala, should be welcome to accept prasadam. 1 minute. Oh, sorry. This is. Where is it? I just read it. Well, I'm able to find the exact quote. Is it in this one? But Srila Prabhupada says over here, the Lord Vishnu is very pleased when his prasadam is distributed. Oh man. Okay, I'm unable to pull it up, this exact verse, but this is the most convincing thing. When a person gives people Krishna prasadam, that actually convinces people the most. Anyway, I'm able to pull up the quote, but that's the most amazing thing. When we give people Krishna prasadam, they get a practical realization of Krishna's mercy. They take Krishna's mercy. And my Guru Maharaj also was saying that when someone comes newly and they take a lot of prasadam, that's a sign. Sorry, I get all kinds of spam emails. That's a sign that a person really likes. He can actually become a devotee when a person takes a lot of prasadam. So yeah, sometimes we're preaching and most people will not take it up because it's a lot. But if we preach the absolute truth, it creates an impression on the subtle body of the person. Right? Even if, for example, Mason, where is he? He's not here. He's gone somewhere. Anyway, Mason, when he first got the books and he came around, to the temple, he came on to the Sunday feast here or in Ponce, I don't remember. But there, the devotees were talking to him and preaching to him and this and that and this and that. It was too much. But then he came back 1 year later and he surrendered to Krishna. So sometimes for some people, that's why it's our duty to give them the absolute truth. But we should also not burn them out. But it's our duty to give them the absolute truth. And after giving them the absolute truth, we should know that it's going to have its effect. There's going to be 1 year, 10 years, one life, a life later, 2 lives later. But somehow that message will actually make an impact upon them, whether they know it or not. Is that okay? Anything else? Anything else from here? Okay. Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai, Srila Prabhupada ki